Welcome, and here we are in 2024, a year of strength. So, right now, I'm going to be presenting the background on the meaning of strength, which is Major Arcana card number 8. And 2024, if we add it together, it adds up to 8. So it's just a numerological thing, why we are now moving into the year of strength. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so these are our cultural associations with strength. Who is the strongest? Okay, next slide. What is the biggest? The elephant and the blue whale. Okay, next slide. What is the most fearsome? What do we fear? Next slide. Who is the best armed? Who has the most strength and power in the world? Next slide. Who lasts the longest? Stare down. Next slide. There is both individual strength and group strength that we are looking at. Okay, and what is the difference between individual strength and group strength, and how do those work together and not work together? Okay, next slide. Strength is power. It is about individual power and collective power. All of this coming up in the year 2024. Okay, next slide. Strength in numbers is a big part of what we are looking at. And here are the suffragists, who you will remember, 1920, women's suffrage. Okay, next slide. Inner strength, yoga, having the entire physical body attuned. And we will see that strength is about healing and what it means to heal. Okay, next slide. Strength from the Middle English and the Old High German means binding tight, binding together. It is about capacity and endurance. It's about resisting force or attack, solidity, toughness, strangely, impregnability, which is really interesting to think about. This is out of the dictionary. So I was thinking a lot about the meaning of impregnability as strength. It is legal, logical, or moral force. It's considered to be an inherent asset. It's about potency, intensity, or effect or concentration, like strength of color, like that's a strong red. That's a loud sound. That's a strong odor. Strength is about force, and we will measure force often in numbers. Strength embodies force or support, such as, you are my support, you are my strength. Maintaining or increasing is a feeling in strength. Like, what is the strength of the dollar? Is it maintaining? Is it increasing? So the synonym for strength is power, and the antonym, generally, weakness. You're only as strong as your weakest link. That's a reference to strength. Okay, next slide. On the tree of life, strength is a crossing branch, it's called. A girder of the tree. It's called a girder. And a girder is a cross branch in a building in construction that holds up crosswise. Okay, so here's strength, and it connects the 4 and the 5 on the tree of life. So the tree of life is numbered, and I think most of you know, but some of you might not know, that all of the tarot cards fit on the tree of life. So all the number 4 tarot cards are going to fit in this number 4 sphere. All the 5 tarot cards fit in the number 5 sphere. So the 4s go in the 4s, the 5s go in the 5s, the 6 go in the 6s, and it's as if you could just place the cards or glue the cards onto this tree of life. And when we do tarot readings, it's as if we take the cards off the tree of life. We cut them in pieces, in small pieces, and then we start shuffling the tree. And that's basically what we're doing when we're doing a tarot reading, is we are working the tree of life. We are doing, it's called path work on the tree of life in the Western mystery tradition. Okay, next slide. So the number 4 is on the right. That's a card number 4. It's the 4 of earth power. The 5 of earth, called the nadir, is on the left side. That's connecting the 4, sphere 4 and sphere 5, and that's strength in the middle, connecting them. So strength is called the path between spheres 4 and 5. Sphere 4 is going to be about maintaining or building up energies. Sphere 5 is going to be about taking down energies, decreasing energies. So a note on these pictures, the 4 and the 5, that's the 4 of earth in tarot and the 5 of earth in tarot. So the reason that these cards that I'm showing you do not have numbers and titles on them is because these are the actual original paintings that I'm showing you right now. And those original paintings did not have numbers or names on them. So usually when I do slideshows like this, I show the original paintings. So these are photographs or scans of the original art that we're looking at. Before it had the numbers on it. Once it has the numbers and the names on it, the art gets a little bit diminished. So I wanted to show you the beauty of the artwork. Okay, so strength is the path that connects all the 4s and all the 5s in Tarot of the Spirit and in all tarots. Okay, next slide. Strength is a channel. It can be considered a channel between 4 and 5. The channel or a channel is open. It's like an open tube, something like that, or a canal, right? So the energy is always getting channeled back and forth between the 4 and the 5, the 4 and the 5, 5 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 4, 4 and 5. So we are always in the process of building up and taking down. And in fact, we need to be in that process for health. If we have too much building up without enough taking down, that can result in something like cancer, with things moving out of balance, especially within our bodies. So the building up process is called anabolism, and the taking down process is called catabolism when it comes to biology. So sphere 4, it's called Hesed, is a sphere of mercy and kindness. It's considered to be mercy and kindness, building up or maintaining. It's about strength itself. It's the strength of that. And then when we look at sphere 5, that's the sphere of severity and judgment, but it is also a sphere of strength. They're both spheres of strength. Number 4, sphere 4, is the power of stabilization, the building up, the construction, the addition, the unification. It's also creating spaces of safety, refuge, and sanctuary for ourselves. The spiritual vision of sphere 4 is a vision of love. There's also an intelligence associated with every one of these spheres and paths, and the intelligence of sphere 4 is the receptive intelligence. That means receiving more information, receiving more stimulation. The astrology on sphere 4 is Jupiter, which is all about expansion. And the message that comes about from sphere 4 is the cosmos selects out and maintains what it wants to keep. Okay, so one of the secrets of stabilizing, maintaining, and building up is selecting a small realm where that can happen. Because we get so many ideas, there's so much going on. We can't maintain everything that we imagine or that comes to us or whatever. We can only select out a small area to maintain successfully. Yeah, I'll give you an example. One of the examples I think of a lot that I associate with this is that there is a field. Imagine a field, and the field is full of saplings, and it's also full of goats. And the goats come and eat all the saplings because that's what they do, right? So, but if you want to maintain a tree in a particular place, what you can do is put a fence around that tree. And so the goats can't get to it. So that tree can grow and grow and grow. This is like closing off your area that you are going to maintain and stabilize. So you can water that tree, you can keep that tree alive, and eventually that tree will grow up and provide shade for the whole herd. So that's an example of the increase of sphere 4. Okay, and then if we look at sphere 5, the power of cataclysm. So 4 is stabilization, stabilizing things. 5 is cataclysm. So the cataclysm literally means a flood, like water flooding. And so this is breaking down, destroying, deconstructing, subtracting, dividing, taking apart. It's dangerous, it's wild, it's precarious, and often necessary. Okay, the spiritual vision of strength is the vision of power. So we have love and we have power. The intelligence of sphere 5 is called the radical intelligence. Radical means root. Rad means root. R-A-D means root. So the radical intelligence is the root intelligence. And this one's about Mars, which often results in rash action. The cosmos not only selects out and maintains what it wants to keep, but it also selects out and destroys to make adjustments. Anything that becomes too big, anything that becomes too rigid, anything that becomes too stable is eventually going to get taken out. And both of these aspects work together in our own consciousness, in our own lives. Strength is the channel that moves between when we're building up and when we're breaking down within ourselves and around ourselves and in our own world, and interior and exterior. Okay, next slide. Strength is like the path that moves between the 4 on the right and the 5 on the left, and strength moves both ways, just like a scale that adjusts and balances, and we're continually adjusting, continually balancing those energies within ourselves. Okay, next slide. Okay, how do we know what to do? Like when we're confronted with issues, how do we find our strength? Okay, the first thing is to go back to what it is we value. When we consider our values, we know how to decide what is most important to us, what is most meaningful to us. And it's on the basis of what creates the most meaning to us that we'll know what to do when we're confronted with new energies and new information. Okay, next slide. more yes? Do we want to put in more yes or more no? Okay, true strength is not yes, 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 yes. It is not saying yes all the time. True strength is not saying no, 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 no all the time. True strength is neither yes nor no. True strength is both. And it is a balance right between the yes and the no, drawing from the yes when you need it and the no when you need it. So, as Socrates said, know thyself is going to be the key, which is what we're going to get into more today. Okay, so next slide. What we value most is based on our vision of the workings of the cosmos. So then we return back to some of these kinds of questions. Is Earth a field of awe and wonder? Is Earth a field of danger? Is Earth a field of love or hate? Okay, how do we know? This is not completely objective. These are subjective questions that we are asking ourselves. We know what we know because of what we tend to absorb into ourselves. That means, what are we paying attention to? What are we listening to? What are we focusing on? That which we attend to is absorbed and retained in our consciousness and also in our subconscious mind. So our subconscious relates to sphere number 9 on the Tree of Life and in the tarot cards. So when you look at those number 9 cards, they are related to things getting absorbed and then lodging in the subconscious, even lodging in our bodies as subconscious patterns, something like that. So what we choose to absorb is critically important in how we understand the world. Okay, so I'm just floating this information for you right now. Okay, next slide. Strength, as I already mentioned, is the girder of the ethical triangle. It's called the girder. Okay, so the girder is the crossbar. The ethical triangle, there's a picture of it on the left here, and it is blacked out on the Tree of Life. And the ethical triangle consists of 4, 5, and 6 on the Tree of Life. So it's all the 4s in the tarot, all the 5s in the tarot, and all the 6s in the tarot. So the 4, number 4, which is that place of maintenance and stabilization and also increase, and then the 5, which is a place of taking down, both of those together at the same time get mediated on the Tree of Life by the 6, number 6, sphere number 6, which contains all the 6s. Now, this is really important because most of the time, so if you don't know about the Tree of Life and you never heard about the Tree of Life and don't know anything about this, most of the time, the way we feel is we're living between the 4 and the 5 period. There's nothing else on the tree. It's just the 4 and the 5. The 4 is when it's stable. The 5 is when it's unstable. So we're always going back and forth between the 4, like, let's stabilize it, and then the 5, it's all falling apart. So it's falling apart, so let's stabilize it. So we're moving back and forth on the path of strength all the time. When we back out and learn more, we see, oh, it's not just about the 4 and the 5. That's not the whole of our lives. In fact, I'm going to take this one step further. We usually live our whole lives out of the 5. The 5 is a place of struggle. And It's really good when we feel ourselves coming out of the struggle and we're going up, up, up. Imagine struggle. Struggle is the 5 of fire card. Okay, so just imagine that struggle is a cycle unto itself, and we're going to call it the 5 of fire struggle. And imagine that we could spend our whole lives living inside that one tarot card, 5 of fire struggle. Okay, so so we're up at the top. It's a cycle and it's going in a circle, just like a wheel of fortune. We're up at the top and it's good. It's like, oh, great. Some money just came in. I just fell in love. I just got some money. I just got some love. I just got a good report from the doctor. Everything's going great. And then go over the top and it starts going down, down, down. The struggle starts going down, down, down. And it's like, oh no. You look over the edge. Oh no. Oh no. I don't think this is the right person for me. Oh no. Um, oh no, I just got this gigantic bill for something and it's taken out all that money I just got. And then it's down, 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 down. And then it's at the bottom. And it's like, oh, I knew it. I knew it would come back to this place. And then something good happens and it starts going up again. Oh, I got that grant. I got, oh, I met somebody new, and then it goes up, 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 up. And it gets to the top. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Everything's good. Woo, woo. And then it starts going down again. Okay, that is that position on the left there. I'm showing the 5 of earth right now. And 5 of earth is a place of despair, of suffering, of natural disasters, poverty, loss of money, all of those things, war, all the things that can happen in our lives. Okay, and so we're just living in that one place, in that one position. And what we'll try to do is we'll try to go we'll try to rebalance the scale and go over into the 4 where it gets stable again. That's what we want. Okay, but our secret here for all of us is we're going to expand this. We're going to look further. We're going to look deeper. We're going to know that there are more factors at play. And one of the factors at play is that balancing aspect of the 6, because the path of strength here in the ethical triangle. So I need to go back and explain ethical triangle. The 6 is the bottom of the triangle. The triangle is composed of 4, 5, and 6 with 3 connecting paths in between. Okay, and so strength is the path that connects the 4 and the 5. And then the path that connects the 4 and the 6 is the hermit, which I'm not going to go into right now, but it's really interesting. The hermit's part of it too. It's like going away all by yourself and rethinking. Okay, just to make it very simple, the path that connects the 5 and the 6 is karma. And so that path is about, is there anything else I need to do? Is there anything I've done wrong? Is there anything I need to make amends for? All kinds of things that happen on the path of karma. Oh, if I hadn't done this, this wouldn't be happening now. How can I rectify it? We're not going to go into karma today either. I just want to tell you that that's all part of the ethical triangle. Okay, ethics means this is how we come up with our ideas about what's right and wrong. So it's between the 4 and the 5, right and wrong. It's yes and no. It's also right and wrong. This is right, this is wrong. Okay, all of that comes back to what you absorb, what you're paying attention to, and there are more factors too, but so far what we have on the table is what are we absorbing that gives us our sense of right and wrong. And our sense of right and wrong is also influenced by, there's a triangle above, which is 1, 2, and 3, composed of 1, 2, and 3. And that is how we perceive the workings of the cosmos. How does the cosmos fit together? That's like our overarching spiritual path. And then the way we believe flows down to the path of strength and is received by the path of strength. So here I showed strength in 2 different attitudes. One of the attitudes is I put strength across upright, And just imagine that the top of those strength cards all the way across are receiving the energy from quote above. It's not really above, there's no directionality, but it looks like above on the chart. So the way we perceive the cosmos is floating down or pouring down and illuminating that path of strength all the way across. So it's getting seeded by our cosmological worldview. That then creates our sense of ethics, how we believe. That's why what we pay attention to is so important. Also, from the six of earth that flows into the four and the five, that's coming up from below. So strength is also getting seeded from the mediating factors on the planet that are coming up from below. So that's called the ethical triangle. And that, by the way, in turn, so I can't go too deeply into this, but the 1, 2, and 3 is the cosmological triangle. It's how we believe. 4, 5, and 6, which we're concerned with today, strength, is called the ethical triangle. That's our sense of right and wrong. Then there's a third triangle down composed of 7, 8, and 9. That triangle constitutes our personality. Our personality is based on our sense of ethics and our belief system. Okay, so essentially, if we want to change our personality, if we're living in fear or something like that, we don't want to live in fear. What we need to do is change our ethical system and the way and what we're absorbing, but that's not really going to shift totally until we change our cosmological worldview, which is the 1, 2, and 3. So what we're doing here is we're expanding the possible vision. So strength is a horizontal channel, which I'm showing on the bottom of the card, that is a channel between 4 and 5. So it connects 4 and 5, and it's like that balancing meter back and forth between 4 and 5, and it's receiving energy from the 4 and receiving energy from the 5, the building up and the taking down and balancing that all the time. But it's also receiving energy from quote above and below. So I'm hoping that makes sense. It could be looked at as complex. The more you look at it, though, the simpler it gets. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this sliding meter between 4 and 5, which is strength, is resolved by adding the number 6, and 6 is the mediator. So here are the 4 sixes. So we have on the far right side is the 6 of earth. That's the card. It's called beauty. And this completes the ethical triangle, the number 6. So here we have the number 6, beauty, which follows the number 5, the nadir. And strength then becomes this path where we can heal anything that's out of balance by introducing and bringing in, partially by introducing and bringing in the 6 or the 4 sixes. So strength is a path of resolving cognitive dissonance. Okay, so when we're torn in different directions, we can begin to work that balance of strength through reassessing what we value. And we can come to some resolution. So it says here, the way is the incorporation of the 6 into the equation. So here we have the 4 sixes. We have the 6 of fire, and the 6 of fire is about making an offering into the world of what you've learned after you've been through the struggle. The 6s follow the struggle of the 5s. Okay, what have you learned after you've been through the battle? And then the 6 of water, which is the next card over, that's called faith. And it's like, all right, what happens if I just believe that things are going to be okay? If I have faith that there is an order to things and that I am supported. And then the next one over, the 6 of wind, is called clarity. That's where we come to some intellectual understanding. The water is about emotional understanding. And the wind, six of wind, is about intellectual understanding. And then the six of earth, the last one, is about physical manifestation of all of that, of spirit, heart, mind, and body. And what we embody comes across in the six of earth. So, in a sense, they're all cumulative. Okay, so the next slide. Okay, so light rises into strength from sphere six below. Okay, so it comes up and strength catches the energy of those four sixes, making your offering, being in faith that it will be okay, becoming clear about what you're doing, and then walking your path with beauty, beauty as a value, beauty before you, behind you, above you, below you, all around you, and inside you. And that doesn't mean necessarily just physical beauty. That's beauty of spirit, beauty of heart, beauty of mind. So that all that rises into the path of strength from below. And from above, the path of the Empress is the next girder up on the tree, the Empress. And the Empress is a path of imagination. And she is always seeding the path of strength from above. She incorporates everything that's involved in that cosmological triangle, or that spiritual triangle above, and she pours it into or onto the path of strength. So sometimes I imagine this path of strength, it's like if I were feeling low for some reason, maybe I would just go outside and lie down on the ground and let the sun pour down over me, and I would receive that energy. So sometimes I see the path of strength like that, that it's just pouring over me, or maybe it is the starlight, and that I'm becoming renewed and refreshed from that. So strength can be renewed by that energy that is flowing from both from up from the earth, and we call it up, and there's no direction in space though, but this is the way we think about it, that it comes up from the earth and down from the stars. Okay, or from the sun, our star, our star. Okay, next slide. So strength becomes a balance of meaning in our lives. It's both internal and external, and it's both horizontal between the 4 and the 5, and vertical between the above, what is called the above, and the below, even though there's really no direction in space. But I think you're following me with that. Okay, so next slide. Okay, if we want to break out of being trapped between that 4 and the 5, or more specifically in the 5 energy, which is cataclysmic energy, we need to expand the box. We need to think outside the box. We need to think creatively, and we need to think symbolically, which I'll explain, and we also need to trust our intuition. Trusting our intuition is really important and key in the process. Okay, next slide. Okay, and this one I threw in because I love this slide. So this is about, if we want to, we could incorporate not just the above and below right around that path of strength, but we could incorporate the whole tree of life, all the teachings of the tree of life. And some of you I know are doing this. And in fact, when we do tarot readings, we are bringing the entire tree of life together. Okay, we'll get to that serpent in a minute. Okay, next slide. Okay, trust your intuition. Interoception. Okay, what is that? All right, so that is having feelings inside yourself. Like everyone has feelings, and we step into these feelings that we have. We need to take them seriously. Like if your throat starts to, if your voice starts to go, if your throat starts to clog up in certain situations, if you get a headache, if your heart starts palpitating, if your solar plexus is fluttering or your gut is fluttering, this is interoception. This is your body talking to you. This is a big part of your intuition. So to trust that as being your power, your intuitive power, you know things. You know more than you think you know. We all know more than we think we know. We know so much when we allow ourselves to expand into our knowing. And this is going to become part of the path of strength, is expanding into our intuition and our perception. If you think something is happening, it probably is. Trust yourself. Okay, next slide. Yeah, feel your way. Feel your way. So really trust that. That's the water part. There are 4 suits in Tarot. There's spirit, heart, mind, and body. And heart is the water, the suit of water. Feel your heart. Feel your way. What do you know? What do you think you know? Notice it, observe it, listen, and feel your way through. Okay, next one. Okay, also, key 8 strength is, I see it says key 7 there. It's supposed to say key 8 with 3, with a V and 3 ones. All right. Key 8, the power of symbolization. Okay, this is critically important. Humans are symbolic thinkers. We think symbolically. We gain knowledge and then we place symbols with that knowledge, and then we can refer to these symbols internally and externally for quick reference. And other people understand these symbols too. For example, you have a symbol of a tree, everyone's going to have some kind of meaning out of that. You have a symbol of a star, everyone will have some meaning out of that. So we are guided by these symbols, and we guide others with our symbols, and we can do it very quickly. And we can come up with symbols and we can use them to move people, and they move ourselves. So we can go to our feelings, our interoception. We can also go back to our symbols to make decisions in terms of what do we consider right? What do we consider wrong? What are the symbols we live by? What do we live by? We're going to look at this further. What do we live by? And even more importantly, and when you start thinking about this, it becomes really important. What do you want your life to symbolize? Your life. If your life were to become a symbol of something, the way you live day to day, what would you want it to be? And when you know that, that creates this value system that you live by. Then you are truly in your strength. You are truly in your power. You truly know when to say yes. You truly know when to say no, and you're not going to be second guessing yourself. So you're going to know how to move that meter between the 4 and 5. You're going to bring in the 6. You're going to bring in the energy from above, and you're going to bring in your symbolic system and your feelings. Okay, so now we're really getting to the essence of what strength truly is. Okay, next slide. Trust your own symbolic reality. Trust your symbolic reality. And again, this goes back to what you are absorbing, what you're taking in. And pay attention to what you're taking in, and then how it becomes symbolized within you. Okay, next slide. So strength is related to the 4 8s. It's an 8, and it's related to the 4 8s. So here are the 4 8s. The 8 of fire, that's about how the cosmos fits together. It's called the lightning path. The 8 of water, still waters. And still waters, when we look at the card there, we see some little plants growing, and what's over them is an apron. It's the craftsman's apron, it's called. And this is how we protect our creativity as it's happening, as it's in its baby form. So still waters is being very calm, being still, dropping deep down, and protecting the baby creativity that's happening within ourselves. Okay, and then the 8 of wind, power shield. Power shield is how we step into our convictions and own them and be them based on our symbology, the symbols that we are using based on how we feel. And for this card, Power Shield, that's a triangle pointing downward. Here's where we lay down the struggle. We let the struggle go. There's swords that are down, and we go forward safe and protected only by what we believe. Stepping into our convictions. The 3 points on the triangle are our deepest truth, our deepest love, and the courage of our convictions. And I always think of Martin Luther King. I have some of these repeating voices, his is one of them, on this particular card, where he might have been afraid. He was afraid. He said he was going to be, he said he was afraid, but his love overpowered his fear because he knew what he symbolized. He knew what his life stood for. He understood his own strength. He understood his own power. And so he believed that if he died in that mission, it was, in a sense, okay, because he was living the life he was meant to live. And that is true strength. Then the last one is the mountain, 8 of Earth, and that's how we persevere on our journey. The mountain is a metaphor for life itself, okay? And just traveling with our beliefs intact, and it's a process. It's not getting to the top of the mountain that's important. It is putting one foot down in front of the other in our true, with our true love, truth, and the courage of our convictions. And if we want to walk in joy, for example, putting our foot down in joy, or putting our foot down in peace if we want to walk in peace. I put my foot down in peace, then my foot is in peace. We're responsible for that, each of us. We travel the path according to our deepest values, the key values that we ourselves symbolize. Okay, next slide. So strength becomes the key of healing. It is the most important key of healing probably in the tarot deck. It's about releasing, it's about reconsidering, it's about electrifying, rising up, and shedding the old skin. Okay, so this, the first symbol, there's a symbol. The first symbol, these are symbols of healing. Okay, the first symbol is the symbol for the Western Medical Association. It's the caduceus. The second one in the middle, these, you see the crisscrossing snakes, and those where they cross, they're electrified, and as they're like positive and negative charges. The snakes are called Ida and Pingala, and you see these shrines a lot at the base of big trees. And what they represent is nature itself in its electrified state, continuing, coming to life, growing, always moving, growing, moving, and rising up again and again and again. And these are some of the symbols on the strength card from Tarot of the Spirit. Okay, so next slide. The Hebrew attribution of the strength card is called Tef, and it means serpent in Hebrew. So the serpent, it is all about shedding the old skin, but it's also about going underground, being on top of the ground, and climbing trees, all of it. The serpent goes in all the directions, which means that it symbolizes the ultimate knowledge of birth, death, and resurrection, the understanding of the whole of creation, and what eternal life means. Okay, this is part of the representation of the serpent. Okay, next slide. Symbolically, okay, shedding the skin. So as we heal and as we learn more and as we come to heal, part of the idea is shedding the old skin, the skin that has grown too small, rising up, breaking out. And sometimes instead of looking at the future to shed the old skin, it's more important to look at the past, to look at the themes of the past, to look at the stages of the past, from the point of view of the present. But here also, I put into this slide, strength is ancestral, has to do with an ancestral process, ancestral lineage. So there are things in that lineage that we want to break out of too, that we want to shed the old skin, that we want to heal. So strength becomes a process. Number 8 is a process. And a big part of it is looking back to go forward. And the destination is the journey, overstated a lot, but still true. That the journey itself and how we walk the process of the path is what really, really matters. And here's a note that's kind of interesting. When we shed the old skin, when caterpillars shed the old skin or snakes shed the old skin, that's a molting process. And biologically, the stage between moltings is called an instar, INSTAR, which I just love that. So like you're in one stage, but then and it's good, you know, it serves you, it's wonderful. At first, there's a lot of space to move around it. But then when you move to the next stage, or when you're ready to move to the next stage, things become really tight. They become too small. This is a movement between the 4 and the 5. Like the 4 has built up way too much. It's really uncomfortable and you've got to break out of it. You've got to break out of it or you're going to die inside of it. So there's where we need to be brave. We need to be strong. We need to let the old skin go. So then we move in more into the 5 energies when we let the old skin let the old skin go. Yeah, so instar to instar to instar. Okay, next slide. Strength is about healing the trauma of 5 as well. All the trauma that we go through in the number 5, the cataclysm, the pain, the suffering, the old age and death, childhood trauma, the conflict that comes to us from without, such as natural disasters or war, situations that cause poverty, and also the conflict from within, the spiritual struggle. Okay, so we can look back at our stages to go forward. Look at the stages we've been through. Look at what we've learned in those stages and take the best of it and bring it into the present and take it into the future. How else can we do this? We can revisit stabilization. So we can try to restabilize. That's part of it. Take that path of strength over to stabilization again and bring that back in, the number 4. We can also bring in the 6 from below, and we can bring in the number 7, which is really important, which follows the 6. And the number 7 on the tree of life is the place of vision quest. Sometimes in order to change, we need new vision, previously unthought of, unheard of, within ourselves. So there's where we go out and seek a vision. And the card on the right is the 7 of earth, and it's called the garden. And it's about creating a new earth through seeking a new vision. So looking back to go forward, remembering, going on a vision quest, and in this space, we may find ourselves retrieving parts of our lost soul retrieval. Okay, so next, I will promise you that I'm going to do, keep your eyes open for the next video, which is going to be on soul retrieval. So you can start to see how this all works together. Okay, if we don't heal our trauma, what winds up happening is we splatter it outward, but we don't even know we're doing that because we're not cognizant of what we're dealing with, what we're working with. So this takes a lot of inner work to heal, to become strong. Okay, next slide. The astrological attribution of strength is Leo, the lion. So we have both the snake as part of the card, which the serpent, which is Taith in Hebrew, and then the astrological attribution is Leo. And in Leo, here is where we find our light. When as I'm looking at this picture, I just mentioned putting myself on the ground under the stars, and feeling that energy. Well, this lion's attitude, it is just exactly, it exactly captures the feeling that I myself might have under the sun or under the stars, and just taking that energy in a much larger energy. Leo is all about light, illumination, the fire, the sun, the star. Leo is about consciousness, awakening, the force or the power that brings light into our conscious purpose. It's our inner fire, our inner light, our inner sun, our inner star, our pulsing center, our vitality, and even our ferocity, because there are times when ferocity or rage even is called for. But the most important thing is that we don't just splatter that without realizing fully what we are doing. Okay, next slide. The star. Okay, the star becomes critically important in understanding strength as well, because the star is standing behind strength at all times. Star is number 17. Strength is number 8. Okay, so 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. Okay, they call it reduces to 8. 1 plus 7 reduces to 8. So those two, the 8 and the 17, strength and the star, travel together. Okay, next slide. The star we see on the tree of life on the left connects number 7, which is the vision quest place, with the 9, and the 9 is the place of the subconscious absorption. What we are absorbing into our subconscious by what we're paying attention to. Okay, so if we are involved in the vision quest experience, which is number 7, then on the path of the star it gets absorbed inside of us and becomes the subconscious arena that we operate from, whether we are aware of it or not. Okay, so the star also takes us back to our cosmological belief system. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slide. The star and the vision quest. The star, number 17, stands behind strength, number 8. Sometimes we need to leap into the unknown to discover new ways of knowing. That's the vision quest. The star carries what we learn on our quest, number 7, into our conscious and subconscious realms. So sphere number 7 moves into the star, which seeds our subconscious sphere number 9. And the tarot card on the right side on the bottom is the 9 of earth. And that's getting seeded by our vision quest in the 7 of earth through the star. Okay, so the star is the passage where we begin to look again, look anew, and then it's all going to travel back into the 8, which is how we symbolize our lives and then how we operate from there. Okay, next slide. Your star is rising, dear one, dances magic in thine eyes. Okay, that's out of the Tarot of the Spirit book, when we become aware of it, and when we become aware of our soulmatehood with the universe, and this is when we're really thinking big, we're thinking about a much enlarged picture. We're now way far away from dealing only with that 5 of fire struggle and living only in that place. Now we're expanding into the larger tree of life, and you could even say into the whole tarot deck as a vision quest. And that tarot deck fits on that tree of life. The whole tarot deck fits there. So now we can move inside of all of those cards, and instead of having one choice, like, okay, I'm in a struggle, should I, and then whatever the question is, should I quit my job, yes or no? Whatever it is, it becomes much bigger than just a yes or no. Now we have a large field to look at and to look into. Okay, next slide. All right, here's the path of strength again between the 4 and the 5. The intelligence of strength is a big intelligence. It is the secret of all spiritual activities and spiritual beings. Okay, this is what has been passed down to us from in the Western mystery tradition. The path of strength, again, this is repetition, collects and contains all the energies that beam from the cosmological triangle above. The path of strength also receives the energies that beam up from the below in the world of manifestation. In strength, the most sublime processes converge and fold, create, and unfold. So this path is really important. And we're talking about 2024, that these energies are going to emerge in this year, and they are going to emerge within and around you, yourself, all of us. Okay, next slide. Okay, this one is Strength, the hologram. Just a note, every one of these cards is painted on a diagram of the tree of life. So this Tarot of the Spirit is a holographic tarot based on the tree of life. So every card fits on a certain path or within a certain sphere. And it also holds the entire tree within it. Okay, so we can see on the path of, on the diagram of the tree of life inside strength, how those snakes can become electrified when they crisscross at certain points on the tree of life, and their heads come together right at the top of the tree of life in sphere number 1. Okay, and number 1 is a brand new beginning. Okay, but they're electrified, they are rising up. Okay, next slide. And back to the lion again. Strength has esoteric names, 2 major esoteric titles: Daughter of the Flaming Sword and Leader of the Lion. Strength rises up and begins to ignite and transform the world within and around. And strength begins to channel and transform the powers and forces and move them into the space, which is for the love of all. And here I put 2 cards with lions in the lion energy of strength, because they so symbolize it. The fire brother and the fire sister, very rapid moving, spiritually speaking. So here it's like, here we go. All right, and this is all very spiritually oriented, because that is our path and that is our work. Okay, next slide. Here's the mystery of strength. First, we learn to count and we learn our days are numbered, okay? We only have so much time on this planet. Then we learn that the one is concealed in the many. Okay, so there is a spiritual energy that moves through all. Cosmic light dwells even in the darkness. And in the darkness, we can find redemption. Also, this is the most interesting of all to me. The serpent of temptation is secretly the anointed one. Because whenever we follow into some kind of temptation, we are going to learn a lot. So it's like, don't blame yourself, follow your path, and then keep learning from it. The problem is if we don't learn from it, if we keep repeating the same patterns over and over and over. So what we want to do is we want to learn from this mysterious path that we are in. And as we follow those attractions and those temptations, that they help us become stronger and even more powerful from within our own self, and even more spiritual in our approach. Okay, next slide. Here's the divinatory meaning. So this is, if you pulled strength in a reading, this might be what you would think. Truth comes from within yourself. Truth is your inner light, your conscience. Your conscience uncoils like a rising serpent. Feel that. Be guided by that. Be that. Your truth is your healing. Keep following that path of truth and keep expanding into it. Your healing is your freedom, and your freedom is your bliss. So this path of strength is going to take you into a place of joy and bliss if you follow it. And again, that's trusting your feelings, your intuition, your power of symbolization, living by your symbols. If the symbols you're living by are not working, go deeper, go higher, whatever it is, and begin to replace that picture and move forward step by step on your journey, putting your foot down in whatever is important to you, step by step by step. Okay, next slide. 2024, the year of strength. Okay, this is time for us to heal, and we're going to heal by reassessing our values. How are we going to do that? We are going to add the number 6. This is like a little adjustment. We add the number 6 into the equation. 6 becomes a mediating factor. So we're not just working with stabilization and destabilization, or construction and deconstruction, and moving back and forth all the time between those two. Now we're going to add 6. 6 is our power of making our offering into the world. It's our faith. It is our clarity, and it is the beauty way. So we're going to bring those up from the below. Beyond that, we're going to even add the number 7, which is a vision quest, where we go and seek new information. And there's where we add the star. And we bring in the star, our soulmatehood with the universe, and then we reseed our subconscious mind. We begin to reseed the subconscious, and it rises up again. So it's a process that continually moves. There's no destination in this process except the process itself, to keep working with the process, which is what we will be doing throughout this year. So whenever we're presented with something, we're going to take all this information. You don't have to remember all this. Just let it engrave itself on you or within you in terms of what you're absorbing. Just let it come in, and it will be there. it'll be there. So this is all about expanding the box. So we're working with a larger field, with and in a larger field. Okay, next slide. And this brings us to the end today of our introduction of the path of strength and the ethical triangle. So I myself am wishing you joy and peace for 2024. And for more materials about this and to read more about strength, you can look at Tarot of the Spirit and Kabbalah and Tarot of the Spirit. And both of them have a lot of information, a lot more information. Okay, so we'll end right here. Thank you very much. And we will end in this moment. Bless, bless, bless.